Hey everyone, happy Thanksgiving from Corvallis, Oregon, as we get set to break down a couple of games of Week 14 college football and Week 4 of college basketball. So let's get right into it, rapid fire here. First off, the Civil War football game in Eugene. Two teams that are coming off of just unthinkably discouraging losses. Both of these teams, Oregon State, lost by an average of 34 points last week. OSU was dismantled by Washington, and Oregon was taken down in decisive fashion in Tucson versus Arizona. So a close work colleague of mine had a great quote on this, and I told him I was going to use it because he basically said after Oregon lost and after Oregon State lost, and even the Baylor game, he's from Texas, so he was just blown away by that Oklahoma State decisive win over Baylor. He said, "Well, everything I know about college football just got shot to hell," and I think he's mostly right because that was just an unthinkable sort of Saturday of football on a lot of levels. I went 0-4. Well, we're 8-0 in our last 8 college basketball games. So those are the kind of things that happen. We cannot get too high with the highs or too low with the lows. We just have to roll with it and just keep going and keep plugging and trust the system. So we're going to get right into the Civil War. The one sort of angle in this game that I like, besides the fact that Oregon is likely to try to take their frustrations out on a discouraged sort of crumbling, what appears to be a crumbling Oregon State team, is that Oregon, their one defensive strength is pass defense. And that's what Oregon State does. That's all they do is pass the ball. So I think that alone is a setup for a very one-sided game here. I think it will be. I think Oregon will win by much more than 22 points, the point spread. I could get into a whole lot more. Oregon State doesn't run the ball, all of those things, but I think what it adds up to is Oregon will really make a bloodbath out of this game. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think that we are. So I think that Oregon will roll Oregon State here. And moving right on, so we're going to go to UCLA at USC. Now, I like SC in this game a lot, minus the 3 points. I like SC to win by quite a bit, besides their revenge factor, which is that UCLA grasped that mantle of team of LA, that they own LA last year, and they wore that for 364 days. SC's really surging. They want to play for Ed Orgeron, their coach. They're going to put, Marquise Lee and Red both rested last week, and SC won quite easily back-to-back road games. I think SC is primed right here. UCLA is really beaten up, and they Hundley got hit many times. Their offensive line is a mess. They kind of skated for a while with all these freshmen that they have. Yet, I really think USC is a good play here, and I like SC by a lot here. I like SC to win this game quite comfortably. 2 more games I like somewhat. Pitt, +3 over Miami. Not only have the Canes lost 6 in a row against the spread, but they have really regressed on defense. They've regressed in the running game, where they have lost a lot of that running punch that Al Golden relies upon for the balance that they get. And I like Pitt in this spot. I think that Miami's already looking to their bowl experience, which they're going to have for the first time in a while. I like Pitt here. The Canes still have the U kind of thing going on, where a team like Pitt will always be able to get up for. So I like that. I also like Arizona in the Territorial Cup against the Devils. ASU really celebrated their win, their Pac-12 South crown, even more than Arizona celebrated their win over Oregon, which is a little odd. And I think that Arizona has a lot more to play for here. Arizona State has an eye towards next week, towards their game for the Pac-12 title. And I like Arizona in this, +11. I like them to possibly win. So that's it for college football. And now this college basketball is a little bit odd because the only games I'm really looking at right now are sort of on the horizon where we don't really have numbers yet. But we're going to get into a little bit of breakdown anyway. First one is Friday. There's a host of games that look very intriguing. Mercer at Valpo. Bryce Drew's Valpo team, senior laden. They're a huge team. I really like them against Mercer team. Mercer's a popular pick with a lot of folks in these kind of spots because of their RPI is very high. They're very good. They lost 3 points to Texas. They lost to Evansville, but they're very good. They're an even better 3-point team than Valpo is. They're heavily experienced. They're very deep. They play 10 players. But this is the first time Mercer's been outsized by any team, and Valpo blasted James Madison. They're not very good, but Valpo's got those 3 solid, steady seniors. It's Doherty, Coleman, and that other center. I can't really pronounce his name. Copablano, I believe his name is. His numbers are terrific. So I really like Valpo in this spot if they're 3 or less as of a favorite over Mercer. Valpo's homestanding, I like them in the first game of a long homestand off 3 very difficult but character-building losses. Valpo's schedule is very robust. They just had 3 single-digit losses, I believe, to Illinois, Evansville, and Ohio. They can really build off of those experiences, and their numbers still look quite good. They're a great three-point shooting team. They're the 9th biggest team in Division I as far as effective height. I really like Valpo in that spot if they're 3 or under. Also, a couple more games. Southern Miss at Louisville. What a compelling game that is. 6-0. Golden Eagles. They're undersized, but against Louisville, this is the first time that their size won't matter as much. Louisville's also undersized. Of course, without Dang in the middle now, Louisville plays that pressure defense, but that could play into the hands of Southern Miss because they're so proficient at getting to the free throw line, and the percentage of points that they get from the free throw line is very, very high. It's in the top 10% of Division I teams. I really like Southern Miss to hang around here. If this is 4 or 5 possessions, if it's as high as 15, I like Southern Miss to keep this within single digits here. I don't think they'll pull this out. Louisville's a little on edge. They just lost their first game to North Carolina, but I think Louisville, they're still as great as Russ Smith is, and as great as that front line for Louisville is. They still have size issues. I mean, that even last year, that title team. That's why I was so impressed with them. Those 6-foot. Russ Smith was my favorite player in college basketball last year. The things that he could do and the way he could penetrate defenses and get to the line and get so many proficient points was just mind-boggling to me. I just love watching that guy. But I really like Southern Miss in this spot to cover at the KFC Yum Center. I like them to cover if it's 14 or 15, something like that. I think that Southern Miss has a great chance to cover there. I also like Florida against Florida State to cover. Florida State, as much as I praise them, they simply don't. They're not efficient shooters. They get very few points from behind the 3-point arc. I think they're 22nd lowest in D1 in getting percentage of their points from the 3-point line. Their 3-point percentage is very low. Their free throw percentage is very, very low. So they rely almost exclusively on defense. And that works against teams that aren't in the top 50 RPI. Florida's way up there. They're 7th or 8th or something like that. And they play defense and very proficient offense as well. Florida is a good play here. If that's a single-digit number, if it's 7 or 8, I like Florida there. The other thing that Florida does is force turnovers. Florida State turns the ball over 17.5 times a game. As much as I think they're going to surprise in the ACC, it's a game like this that's going to be very problematic for Florida State. UCLA, Northwestern. UCLA does so many great things now with Steve Alford as their coach. Not only do they have the defense that they had with Ben Howland, but now they have offensive proficiency that's off the charts. Even without Drew, they're 4th in the country in assist to turnover ratio, nearly 2-to-1 a game, which is phenomenal. Especially with Anderson at the point as a 6'8" point. UCLA doesn't have a lot of depth. They don't shoot a lot of threes, but they are their 3-point distribution. 18% of their points come from behind the line, which is alarmingly low. But against a Northwestern team that does not play very good defense, I think that UCLA, if it's 10 or less, they could run them out. Couple games Saturday. Love Utah State if they're underdogs versus BYU for lots of reasons that we'll get into. Mainly because BYU relies too much on one player, and that Carlino. Anytime there's a player that gets a third of his points, a third of his team's points or more, or percentage of the team's shots, it's a very alarming statistic against a team that's in the top 50 RPI. And Utah's deep. They are very proficient. They're big. And they shoot 46.6% from behind the arc. I know it's early, but they have a lot of shooters, and they're deliberate, and BYU's pace is going to catch up with them at some point. They just can't continue to play 80 possessions a game and score 97 points a game and outscore teams. They're just not going to be able to do it, especially in this kind of game that Utah State has revenge on their mind. So I also like Air Force if they're 15 points or more underdogs at home against Colorado, even without Williams. Air Force is so deliberate, and their back picks are so tough that they're going to get a lot of extra long rebounds and great looks at three-pointers, which they shoot very well. Colorado's struggling to score somewhat, so I think Air Force could hang around at least within 15. I also like Washington if they're a single-digit favorite over Long Beach. Long Beach is very inefficient offensively. Washington has been great at not turning the ball over this year and last year, and I think that Washington is kind of a laying-in-the-weeds Pac-12 team that could really make some noise this year, and I really like them in this spot. I think that they're undervalued if it's under 10 points. I also like South Florida over Detroit if that's within 3 possessions. South Florida is very, very good at getting to the line, and that's going to be so critical this year, as we all know. And South Florida is very battle tested, and Detroit is very much of a muddled roster right now, and very patchwork. So that's what those plays are. There's a whole bunch more to go, but we're just unspeakably thrilled to be into college basketball now. We've won 8 in a row there. We usually start the year off quite well. It's about the recalculations and adjusting that happens mid-season when the books catch up to what we've done our research with. When they catch up to that research is when our work really starts. So that's it for now, and I want to wish everyone a very happy Thanksgiving, and I want to thank Sonny once again for always having me in here. So that's it for now. I still went over my time a little bit, but there was so much to get to. So everyone, kill the books and have a great holiday weekend. And we will be having some live tweets from the carpet at Autzen Stadium Friday. So be watching for that. And we will see all of you later.